When I was born, my grandma had the honor of naming me, and she chose to name me Davis after the University of California, Davis. So yes, I realize you've been staring at my name for the last 4 hours. My grandma chose to name me after an American university because she had a dream that I would be the first in our family to go to college. I later found out she also considered naming me after Rice University. That would have made dinner time a little confusing. But even though I was named after such an impressive university, my path to college was never a guarantee. I was raised by a single mother who hadn't even finished 3rd grade. My school system failed to meet 9 national regulations, and as a result, we became labeled the worst school district in the United States. And we were so underfunded that every time a teacher had a birthday, we would all gather our money together so that she would have copy paper for the next day. But despite all this, I eventually earned a full scholarship to college. When people hear my story, you probably think hard work was what got me to where I am today. And it's true, hard work is needed to escape poverty. But if hard work was all it took, why is it that I'm here when many of my friends who also worked hard are still unemployed and never even left our community? I did work hard, but I also had something they didn't. I had access to someone who would create an opportunity for me. When I was 17, I discovered a website that forever changed my life. It was the type of website where high school students would all meet and discuss the best strategies for getting into the best universities in the world. I spent countless evenings on this website before deciding to email 50 of the most active users. To my surprise, I received my first email back 30 minutes later. It was a girl from Iowa who had said, in order to get to your best university, this is how you apply for scholarships. This is how you improve your SAT scores. And if you want, I'll read your essay for you. For the first time in my life, I was willing to work hard, but I also knew what to work hard on. And eventually, I was able to get a full ride to both Harvard University as well as Yale University. Unfortunately, UC Davis did not offer me a scholarship. But for the first time in my life, I realized perhaps hard work is necessary, but you also need a connection to someone who can change your life. And in college, I took an economics course where a professor shared a glaring statistic. He said how hard it is to escape poverty when you're born into it. If you were born in the bottom 20% of family income, something you don't decide before you're born, you have less than half a chance making it to even middle class. Less than half. But there was also another number that caught my eye. It was very small, but at the top of his graph, there was about 7% who not only escaped poverty, but also became some of the wealthiest families in the world. And I started asking, instead of thinking of them as outliers, what can we learn from this 7% that we can pass on to the other 93%? And so, my junior year of college, I started interviewing hundreds of people who grew up in poverty, some who stayed in poverty, but others who became some of the wealthiest individuals in the United States. And one thing stood out. The difference was the people who were wealthy could name so many mentors, so many supporters, and so many champions who had helped them create an opportunity for themselves. But often people who were in poverty still had supporters, but never that champion who broke through for them. When I graduated college, I started thinking, does this theory of social connectedness also apply to helping solve poverty worldwide? When I graduated, I decided to spend 5 months backpacking around the world, living in some of the poorest villages I could find. One of the villages I lived in was called Sapa. Sapa is this mountain region in between China and Vietnam, and is home to a number of tribes known as the Hmong people. The Hmong made for an interesting study because the average Hmong family makes 63 cents a day. 63 cents. In the famed words of another TEDx speaker today, I realized my poor ain't poor. In Sapa, I even convinced 2 friends to stay with me. And the 3 of us ended up staying with a Hmong woman named Zuza. Zuza had lived in Sapa her entire life. The amazing thing about her was she loved people, she loved culture. Most importantly, she loved languages. She had never been inside of a classroom, and yet managed to teach herself perfect English, perfect Vietnamese, almost perfect French, and even almost perfect Mandarin. In another lifetime, she could have been a translator. She could have been a teacher. She could have been a diplomat. But because she lived in Sapa, her day-to-day involved selling bracelets, necklaces, and homemade regalia to tourists. And her kids, while we were living there, had they been born in a developed country, would have spent their summers sleeping in, playing with friends, or binge watching on TEDx videos. But instead, their summers were spent helping their mother, Zaza, sell these homemade goods. So every day at 5 a.m., the family would wake up with us, and we would just start a 3-hour descent down the mountain to the center of the city, where we would await buses that came exactly at 8 a.m. When these thousands of tourists came, we would try to sell the bracelets. We would try to sell the necklaces. On a good day, we were able to sell enough to buy groceries and even have some left over for a bad day. And then there were bad days. Days when she couldn't even sell a single bracelet. And now she and her kids would have to hike back up the mountain 3 hours with all the unsold goods in their back, wondering the whole time, what am I gonna do for food? This is their lives 365 days out of the year. Zaza, even if we gave her a one-time donation, when that money runs out, that's it. But it doesn't have to be that way. One of the most lucrative opportunities in Sapa is being able to give tours for the thousands of people who land. The problem was, even though Zaza knew better English than the tour guides and lived in the land, she had no way of convincing them to take a chance on her. They didn't know it was a scam. Zaza, even though she spoke perfect English, never had a teacher to teach her how to write, but it was something that 3 American students could do. So the next day, we found a local cafe 3 hours away from the mountain, and we started writing up our reviews, typing up our comments, adding pictures, making it like a TripAdvisor on a page. And we gave a stack to Zaza. And then the last day we were there, Zaza used those flyers to get her first customer. She made more that day than the average Hmong family makes in 2 months. Though my friends and I created this opportunity for her, it is Zaza's work ethic that keeps it going today. And last I checked, she's since had a number of tours and a bunch of people who have taken a chance on her. When I was 17, I received an email that would change my life. I had this dream that my mom and I wouldn't have to use our neighbor's hose to take a shower when our water ran out. I had this dream that I could see my mom going to sleep and not worrying if we would be evicted the next day. I was willing to work hard. I had this determination. But what I didn't have was a roadmap. That email from that girl in Iowa became my roadmap. And that road has led me here today to TEDx to share a very simple message with you. And that message is, we don't solve poverty by simply throwing money at it. We solve poverty by helping people create opportunities for themselves. As all the speakers have spoken today, I hope you've seen they've changed lives of their students, their families, and their clients. But I want to tell you is that you don't have to be on this TEDx stage to change a life. You already have the knowledge you need to change a life. What is easy, what is intuitive, and what might be less than 30 minutes for you to do could mean that a mother living in the mountains finds a reliable way to feed her family every day. Or it could mean that a grandma watch as the grandson she names after an American university tells her on Mother's Day that he's going to college. Creating an opportunity for one person might not change the world, but you'll change the world for that one person. Thank you.